What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my top 10 best movies of 2019. It is that time of year. Cannot wait to share this list with you. Just a few ground rules or guidelines for you guys, just so you know right off the bat. These are not reviews. These are just summing up my thoughts on these actual movies. This list is just opinion. This is not fact. These are just the 10 that I saw that I thought were the best. And honestly, this was a very hard list to streamline because there were a lot of great movies that came out in 2019. I am going to start with some honorable mentions. So, I actually do need my phone for this because I have a lot of honorable mentions. So, to kick off the honorable mentions, we have Queen and Slim, Booksmart, Us, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, Rocket Man, Spider-Man: Far From Home, Shazam, The Kid Who Would Be King, Fighting With My Family, Hotel Mumbai, John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, Arctic, 5 Feet Apart, and Missing Link. So reading that list, I literally just made a slight change to my list. See, this is the list. Like, this is how these lists work. They change so much. So, those are the honorable mentions. Let's get started with the list. Walking in at number 10 is Midsummer. Midsummer is a movie that I was really mixed on, but then it stuck with me for a little bit, and I ended up rewatching it, and it was a lot better than I remembered it being. It's just super unnerving, it's super disturbing, it's something that is very uneasy to watch, but I think that that's what makes this movie so great, and it's the craft with this movie. Ari Aster is definitely a force to be reckoned with, so watch out for more Ari Aster. Especially, you will love this movie, especially if you loved Hereditary. Number 9 is another horror movie, and that is Dr. Sleep. Now, when people told me that there was going to be a sequel to The Shining, my initial thought to people telling me there was going to be a sequel to Blade Runner. I was like, this does not need to happen, but man, this movie is great. This pays so much tribute to The Shining and creates its own story in being a faithful adaptation, from what I've heard, to the Stephen King novel, the sequel. And this was just such a different horror movie for me, and I just really was so invested in everything this movie had to offer. And they do a lot of fan service in this movie, and it is fan service done right. Well done, Mike Flanagan. Coming in at number 8, well, if you hate The Last Jedi, I'm afraid you're probably just going to hate this movie because Rian Johnson's name is attached to it. But I love The Last Jedi, and I think Rian Johnson is a great filmmaker, and Knives Out is no different. Knives Out is one of the most unique murder mystery movies I have ever seen. That's the thing I love about Rian Johnson. He's able to take all of these tropes in any genre he's in and just turn them on their heels and twist them to create something so unique and original. This is a movie that is completely different in the second half as opposed to its first half. That's something I really loved about this movie, and it has a lot of social commentary in here too. It's got a very well thought out story with great twists, a great ensemble, one of Daniel Craig's best performances. Ana de Armas was really good as well. Chris Evans, that sweater is forever iconic. Coming in at number 7 is a comic book movie, and that is Joker. Joker is a character study, and that's what I loved about this film. This wasn't some gargantuan, big, action-heavy comic book piece, which is kind of what I knew it wasn't going to be that going in, but the fact was that I kind of walked out of it initially disappointed, but then the more I thought about it, it's kind of like with Midsummer, the more that I thought about it, the more I loved it. This is a character study about a man who's broken down and beaten by society and his descent into madness, and I think it's portrayed so well on screen. Number 6 is Uncut Gems. This is the last movie I will be seeing in 2019, and this was a great one. It captures that feeling of anxiety so well, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat forever, and Adam Sandler's performance in this movie is so great. I just love how this movie spirals out of control so much. It kept me on the edge of my seat, and it literally gave me chills. It's that good. This is the Safdie brothers at their best. Number 5, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is filled with great performances from both Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and it's well directed by Quentin Tarantino. This is one of Tarantino's better films. I'm one who's gonna say Pulp Fiction isn't my favorite Tarantino film, might be the best, not my personal favorite. My personal favorite is Django Unchained. But if you ask me, it would go Django, Pulp Fiction, then probably Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought that this was a lot better than Hateful Eight. It showed you the background is into the movie industry, into how actors kind of act when they feel like they're washed up, and how desperate they are. And I really love that. And I love the backdrop that it was set against the Manson murders. I really don't understand the controversy at the end of this movie. That's a whole nother video. I can explain why if you ask me. But I really loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a great movie. An indie movie had to make this list. This was one of the most endearing, heartfelt movies I've seen all year, and I loved it even more on rewatch, and that is The Peanut Butter Falcon. I love how this premise of this movie was just based around somebody who has Down syndrome in real life who wanted to pursue his dream of becoming a professional actor, and they gave him the opportunity to do that. And The Peanut Butter Falcon is a story about loyalty, friendship, pursuing your dreams. It's so heartfelt, it's so endearing, and it's just such a well-directed and well-written movie. I was floored from beginning to end with this movie. I thought it was great. Zach Gottsagen needs that Oscar nomination. I think people are going to be like, why is this so high on the list? But number 3 is Ford versus Ferrari. Ford versus Ferrari was excellent. I love the driving score in this movie, no pun intended, but it's music you can listen to while you're like driving. This is like music I would expect to encounter in a racing video game like Rally Sport Challenge or something. And I love the performances here by Christian Bale and Matt Damon. Christian Bale, the better of the two, in my opinion. James Mangold knows how to direct a movie. It's got some of the best races ever captured on film. And I love how this movie isn't just about the racing. It's about corporate greed in that regard. The behind the scenes of what people at these car companies do, and that if you're working for a car company, you might not always be on the right side. That's what I love. Number 1 and 2, I could easily have flip-flopped, and I contemplated it, but I'm not going to. Number 2, and it's very high on this list, is Avengers Endgame. This movie accomplished everything it was supposed to do. It was the culmination of a 22-film arc. It had Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance as Iron Man. I loved how this movie had more emotional stakes to it. It wasn't an action-driven movie. It's the perfect 3-act structure for a movie. The wait to the final battle at the end is payoff, and I love every second of this movie. This is my favorite movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one of my favorites of the year. This was what I expected from Avengers Endgame. To wrap up a story of this magnitude on this grand of a scale with the amounts of fan service pumped in there, and they do it right, I was very satisfied, and it ended up being one of my favorites of the year. But there is only one movie that topped this, and it might be a controversial choice, but that movie is... Yeah, call me crazy putting Toy Story 4 at number 1, but Toy Story 4, you guys don't know how heartfelt this movie is, because Toy Story is something I grew up with. It means a lot more to me than a lot of other franchises. Like, I say James Bond is my favorite franchise, but Toy Story is just that. It hits you in the feels. It's the one that means the most to me. All 4 of these movies are so great, and Toy Story 4, the idea of it did not sit well with me. I thought that this was going to be a complete cash grab, and the fact that they pulled this off and they told the story that they wanted to tell, it was amazing. This is Pixar's best animation I've seen in the movie. And the ending with Woody makes a decision at the end, I don't think he's out of character. I don't understand that argument. Woody's out of character in all the Toy Story sequels, so that's why I really don't understand. But this was definitely the biggest surprise of 2019 for me, and I think that that's why I love this movie so much. it's my number one pick for best movie of the year. All right, guys. So those are my picks for best movies of the year, or I should say favorite movies of the year, because I think there's a difference between best and favorite. Whole other conversation. Anywho, stay tuned for my list of the top 10 worst movies of the year coming very soon. Also, check out my review of season 1 of The Mandalorian coming very soon. If I see any more movies that were released in 2019, it'll be 2020. I don't want to get this list out after that. So any movies I see will be in 2020. Thank you guys for watching. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below. There you can find all my links to my social media accounts. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies. So